And welcome or welcome back to the dumpster fire that is my podcast. I'm here to break the stigma against moms who smoke. Hi, my name is Paige. I'm a 23-year-old single mom of 2 kids and a cat, and I use weed medicinally to manage symptoms of borderline personality disorder. Before I get started with the podcast, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Moms Who Smoke Podcast, on Twitter at The Moms Who Smoke, and on Facebook we are Moms Who Smoke. And our podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. And after each episode, we release a survey on SurveyMonkey where you can anonymously leave your questions and comments. So this week, I'm fucking pumped. I don't know if I need to bleep myself. I'm not going to bleep myself. I don't think I have thus far. But I'm pumped. We have our first product sponsor, I guess. So Ilyasah from Explicit Wicks dropped off candles yesterday. I'm a little confused with my days. Also, it's 12 hours before this podcast goes live, so if you're not already used to my chaos, welcome to it. So yeah, she dropped off candles today, and not only did she drop off candles, but she dropped off custom Moms Who Smoke candles. So I'm so excited. She dropped off one Moms Who Smoke candle for me, and it says, "Ending the Stigma, one episode at a time," and then one to give away. So there's going to be a giveaway on Facebook soon. She was also kind enough to give me 6 of her Canada Day line candles, and they are called True North, Strong and Free. It's really cute. And then she also gave me one of her candles from her new line. It says, "There's 3 things in life that burn: the sun, a joint, and this candle." So that's super cute. I'm super excited. So if you want to check out her page on Facebook, it is Explicit Wicks. I'll link it down below and everything. But her name is Ilyasah. She runs the company. It's home-based. She makes small batches of 100% soy-based, handmade scented candles and lip balms with hilarious, inappropriate, and cannabis-related labels on them and names. So seriously, they kill me, you guys. I was scrolling through her Facebook page, and a few of them are cuddles, caffeine, curse words, and cannabis. Oh, and these candles. There's no fucks given, and I cannot brain today. And there's more. I don't know. I love it. So she did make candles for the podcast, and we're actually considering doing a podcast line of candles. So if you would be interested in that, please let me know. We'd definitely both be interested in that and are super excited to be working together. If you didn't know, there's also going to be a future true crime episode coming up, and Ilyasah is actually going to be co-hosting with me for that one. So I'm super excited. Again, if you want to follow her on Facebook, her page is Explicit Wicks, and her link will be down below. Thank you, Ilyasah, for giving me these candles. I'm so excited. I can't show you all the candles around my room right now, but I'm obsessed. And I'd much rather buy something that's handmade and local and that has a really badass label on it. So I'm super excited about this. And thank you so much. So, oh, I keep hitting my laptop. I'm sorry, guys. You're sitting on a bookshelf today, so I'm a little off. So, this week, I learned something. I learned that the M word is racist. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the word marijuana is actually a racist term. I wanted to give you guys a quick explanation of this, but as I started writing, I realized that this is probably going to be a full episode, so I might as well just talk about it and get little bits of detail in there. It's still a very simplified version, but yeah, this is why the term marijuana is actually a racist term. So I'm basing this quick explanation off of the Wikipedia page for cannabis history in Canada and Anna Wilcox's write-up on Leafly. So there are more detailed explanations on every site, but I just wanted to keep this as simple as possible, and this was the best way to do it, I found. But yeah, any credit does go to them. That's where I got that's what my sources were. So before 1910, marijuana wasn't a term that was used in American culture. The word cannabis was used to refer to medicines and remedies for common sicknesses or problems. And this seems to be largely because of Bristol Myers Squibb and Eli Lilly, I think, now major pharmaceutical companies, who included cannabis and its extracts in many of their medicines. So from 1910 to 1920, nearly 1 million Mexicans legally immigrated to seek refuge from the Civil War to the United States. And they supposedly brought the idea and recreational use of cannabis with them, and like that habit. Um, and the first bill criminalizing the and the first bill criminalization. Oh, I'm gonna leave this in. Sorry, guys. And the first bill criminalizing the idea. Oh my gosh, guys. So the first bill criminalizing the cultivation of local weed was passed in California in 1913. Although it seems to focus on the opiates and pharmaceuticals more than recreational cannabis itself, it didn't seem to add to what eventually became the prohibition, but I'm sure that some people, I don't know, that did add to their, like, fuel their fire. Um, so now this is all US history, but we do see some mention of race around 1923 in Canada as these laws were being passed. But it seems that Canada's timeline of criminalizing cannabis is similar to the States and was internationally influenced. So there were, prime ministers and leaders that went to these international meetings, and that's kind of where the ideas seem to stem from. Um, so in the 1930s, the Great Depression had just hit. So naturally, people were looking for someone to blame. Because of the recent influx in immigrants, people started to build this stigma around cannabis and the people who used it and their culture or way of life. Um, and generally, this was, based off of Mexicans or African Americans, people of different races that were immigrants or could be immigrants. Um, they believed that and spread the thought that these people were corrupting the low class individuals, just based on their race. So in 1923, cannabis was added to the confidential restricted list under the Narcotics Drug Act Amendment Bill in Canada. And not long before the criminalization of cannabis in the States, 29 states had actually independently banned it. So in 1930 in the US, a man named Harry Anslinger, I don't really even care if I say that right, because he was an ass, but he became a huge voice and push on the side against cannabis. I don't care to repeat any of his quotes because, frankly, he's disgusting. I don't want to repeat any of the words that he said or the quotes that I found. He was made the first director of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics and stayed in that position for 3 decades. So over this time, he made the term marijuana known in America through public events and propaganda, and also made it a very racially, oh my goodness, I can't talk, a very racially stigmatized term. So cannabis had become like a scary, stigmatized narcotic, and it was no longer used frequently in like everyday medicine as it used to be. And then the Marijuana Tax Act of 1937 federally criminalized the plant in every US state. And again, this was largely in part of Anslinger's work. In order to discourage the use, they placed a $1 tax on anyone who sold or cultivated the plant. On top of that, they also had to comply with certain rules, and violations of those rules could include imprisonment and or up to a fine of $2,000 for a fucking plant. So because of where the word originally rooted from and this history and the events that followed from the decades thereafter, the M word does stem back to racial stigma and racism nearly a century ago. So this word was created to add to the stigma surrounding immigrants and their use of the plant in lifestyles, and then was continually used to criminalize these people and make them seem like these terrible people who were using illicit drugs when they made the plant illegal. So I know what side of this I'm on. I don't know what side you're on. I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you're on the same side as me. So yeah, I'm definitely going to dive into how cannabis was legalized in a different episode, but that's why I no longer use the M word, and a quick explanation as to why it is actually a racist term. I wanted to make this a whole episode, but at the same time, I just kind of wanted to keep it quick and simple so it was easy to listen to and understand, and you could have like a basic understanding of it. So I think that there are a lot of terms that we use in our daily life now that are calling to be changed due to the same reasoning. And a lot of brands and like logos and just different, I mean, it's almost anything, different things throughout, the media and people's lives that are calling to be changed because they stem from racially, I don't know how to say that properly. They stem from a racist background or racist ideas or ideals, I guess. And we see like Aunt Jemima being called to be changed, which it's another one of those things where I don't relate it to a racist thought, but if it did stem from an idea that was originally racist, then it does need to be changed, and we do need to do something about it. Um, and I think that that's a lot of people's excuse when they hear terms, and especially like the word marijuana. They're like, well, it's been used for so long, and like I didn't even have any idea that it was racist. Well, that's kind of the problem, and we need to be the generation. That's kind of the problem. That is the problem. And we need to be the generation that changes these things. And it's not all that hard to change a term for something. We do it every day. We come up with new, slangs for things on a daily basis, and it's not a new idea to this generation and honestly the generations above us. So why do we have to make it such a big deal to change some of these things? And you know what? If all of a sudden we see all these names of things changing and brands and logos and people being called out, maybe that's what needs to happen, because that's going to be the change that is going to make everybody realize how disgustingly integrated this was throughout the past century, and probably, I mean, since slavery. I mean, this isn't anything new, and I think we really need to realize the severity of it, and I don't know how much it's impacted every little thing in our lives. So yeah, I believe that we need to be the point in history that changes these terms, that makes equality and the ability of change known. And so that in another century, when they're reading our history books, they're not reading the same shit. They're reading about change and this revolution instead of the chaos that's going on now, which obviously they're still going to read about, but to have a positive outcome from it is what I mean. So I'm going to do my weekly update. Today is Canada Day, actually. Like I said, I'm recording this 12 hours before it goes live. It's been a long week. It hasn't necessarily been a bad week, but I've been focused on a lot of other things. Like my house is basically clean right now, aside from the kitchen, as always. And I don't know, I've been focusing on other things, and I just didn't sit down to write out the podcast and record the podcast. So that's why I'm doing this now. But it's been a good week. It's been kind of a busy week. We spent the day swimming at my parents' house today, and I took a good nap on the couch. My dad broke my bong, so that was kind of a piss off, but then I got a new bong, so it was fine. But I'm bitter about it. Like, I'm probably going to hold that against him for a while, but whatever. Got a new bong. And the rest of the week's honestly been pretty good. I've just been cleaning and trying to get organized and painting. And I don't have my stash box right next to me, but I actually just painted another stash box for a friend of mine. So if you guys would be interested in a stuffed stash box giveaway, or if a limited release of them, say I could release 5 or 10 of them a month and custom paint a stash box and stuff it with smoking goodies for you, let me know if you'd be interested in that, because I've been considering it for a while now, and I'm just kind of curious if there's any interest. But yeah, that's kind of how my week's been. Another update, actually, I kind of mostly want to do this update for myself, but in case you guys are curious, it's been about, I want to say a month and a half now that I've been taking regular vitamins. So I'm taking, I don't know the exact amounts because I don't have them in front of me right now. But I'm taking 2D vitamins, 2C vitamins, 2B vitamins, and obviously my medication. And I'm also taking omega-3, and I'm just trying to improve my diet. And I find my diet as well as, the vitamin intake. and improve my water intake as well, because my water intake is horrible. I'm probably the worst person to drink water that I know. I really don't enjoy drinking water, hence why I have a coffee at midnight. But yeah, I'm really working on that, and I'm finding that it's also, by putting the effort and focus into that, it's also making me put more effort and focus into making better meals and feeding myself, and honestly just snacking when I'm hungry, because for some reason I just don't snack very often, and I need to get back into that because I think that's where most of my calories come from. So that's been going really well, and it's been a huge improvement. They're setting off fireworks outside. Like I said, it's July 1st. It's so loud. All right. Um, yeah, so that's what I've been doing to kind of improve my daily life as usual. So that's my weekly update. This is going to be another kind of short episode. One, there's fireworks outside. Two, my friend is coming over in about 5 minutes, and I need to have this exported, and I need to tidy up a bit before he gets here. And three, I have nothing else to talk about, guys. I have been putting a lot of focus into researching true crime, um, just true crime everything, I guess. Different murderers or serial killers or cult leaders that I would want to talk about and I find interesting and feel like there would be enough information out there to talk about. Um, so there's been a lot of focus on that, which will be an episode coming up very soon, I promise. As I said, keep an eye out for a giveaway. I said that last week, but I actually just thought to add her candle to the giveaway and do a few more things. So it's taking a little bit longer to plan, but that will be up this week. And what does it smell like? Oh my God, what does that smell like? I don't even know what that smells like. It smells like good. Hmm. This one smells like a campfire. I like this one. All right. So that is all I have for you guys this week. Thank you for sitting and chatting with me as always. I really appreciate your support. And if you're a small business, please reach out to me, especially if you have anything related to cannabis. I would love to get in touch with you and promote your business on here. And again, even if you guys can't find anybody's pages that I'm promoting on here, please send me a message, comment, um, get a hold of me some way, and I will direct you directly to their page or to them personally. So yeah, that's been this week's episode. Thank you guys for listening to my dumpster fire, and I'm going to fade into the nothingness. See you guys next week.